Now, police have engaged in fresh clashes with anti-election law protesters in Hong Kong while trying to clear the protest site. Protesters were planning to surround the government headquarters when police tried to disperse them by pepper spray. The defiant crowd, however, refused to leave the site. Meanwhile, another group of demonstrators tried to occupy a main road connecting the east and west of the island, but police thwarted their efforts. Dozens of protesters were arrested and there were several injuries on both sides. It's been over 2 months since the beginning of the demonstrations. The protesters were opposed to an election law introduced by the Chinese government, under which the people of Hong Kong will have to elect their next leader from a list of Beijing-vetted candidates in 2017. Joining us now is William Jones, political commentator, and he joins us via Skype from Leesburg. Mr. Jones, thank you for joining us here on Press TV. Now, the situation in Hong Kong is that of a stalemate, so to speak. The government is sticking to its plans while the protesters are still on the streets. Where is this headed, specifically considering the foreign interests that are involved here?
Well, it's really still to be determined. I mean, I wouldn't call it a stalemate. I think there's been something of an escalation in terms of the demonstrators that the police, it seems to me, for months now, have been very even-handed. There have been attempts to try and get some kind of a dialogue. But there's a basic bottom line here that doesn't seem to be accepted by the demonstrators, is that Hong Kong now is a part of China, and that therefore there are similar restrictions on how Hong Kong is going to be governed because it isn't totally independent. Now, it never was that, in fact, not under the British at all. But in this case, I think there's been a lot of outside interference from both our old British friends who used to have Hong Kong, as well as from the side of the United States, in a variety of ways to encourage the demonstrators and to push them on, or to provide a window where they think that they will get this international support. That's why I think the thing has been, the ante has been upped over the last few days, when it looked as if it was going to lead to a demise of the demonstrations.
Right. So, Mr. Jones, when the British and the American governments do decide to interfere when it comes to Hong Kong, isn't that realization stark in their minds that the Chinese government is not going to negotiate if they see a foreign hand at play?
That's absolutely the case. However, the growth of China, the rise of China, as it's called, although it has the official line is that it's supported both by the U.S. and by the British. They are very concerned about it. They would like to weaken China. They would like to divide it. They would like to cause all kinds of trouble. And Hong Kong, which of course was in the British sphere of influence for so many years, a lot of friends there, a lot of contacts, a lot of things that can be done, where it can't be done in other parts of China. This is now becoming something of a weak link, and I think they're trying to press that weak link to at least weaken China, to cause trouble, to see to it that they don't have an easy time of it. And I think this is what's happening at the present moment. You see that particularly with the moves being made in the U.S. Congress and in the British Parliament to give statements of support, criticism of the Hong Kong government. This is quite openly at this point, and what's going on the ground is anybody's guess.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. That was political commentator William Jones joining us via Skype from Leesburg. Mr. Jones, it's always good to have you with us here on Press TV.